we're back. Everything's going good. And today I want to continue my, just assessment of the condition of this thing by checking the fuel system. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check fuel pressure and leak down. And to do that, we're going to use a fuel injector tester kit, a pressure kit. And the reason I had to buy another one is because this thing has these silly looking connections on it, and I had no way, and it's a returnless system, and I don't see a bleed or a Schrader anywhere. So we got to have something to connect down into here, which is where the fuel goes to the fuel rail, to the fuel injectors, to the engine, blah blah blah. And there we go. These have little retainers on them, and I'm not sure, but I think you may need to use one of these guys to get that off. I've already pulled the fuel pump relay and started it, so it died, so the fuel pressure should be, there it goes. Yeah, that's exactly how that's supposed to work. Not much fuel pressure in it, which is good. Gotta get that little guy out of there. Well, let's get this under there to catch the fuel, but we gotta separate that fuel line and then plug in this one somehow so that I can attach the tester to it. So now we're going to figure that out, which should, hopefully there's enough flexi hose there and the AC lines aren't in the way enough where I can actually attach this thing. So here we go. Alright, well, it ain't terribly pretty, but I don't think I kinked anything too badly. So there she is, attached. Now we're going to attach the fuel pressure gauge, and then reinstall the relay and see what we got. Alright, so that's connected. Now we're going to put the relay back in. There we go. And we're just going to turn the key on and see what it looks like. Make sure we're not leaking. Okay. All right, we're at 52 and dropping. Let's cycle that key again. And we're at 55 and dropping. So spec for this thing is 58 plus or minus 3 or plus or minus 5. And in 5 minutes it should not drop below 35. So it's a little low. Not bad, but it's a little low, and it's dropping quite a bit quicker than I like, and I don't have any leaks up here. And we're down to 52 already. So I'm going to start the engine, and we're going to see what it is when it's actually running and moving some fuel through it. Because that's kind of more important to me than static. Okay. It's not too bad. It doesn't have long crank times, but you never know. Let's see what we got. Oh, shut up. That stupid beeper. Alright, let's go see what we got when it's running. That is well within spec. maybe. See, I'm going to give it about 5 minutes, and we're going to see where it goes down to. But that was a good test. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes, and we've lost maybe 1-2 psi. So that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And so that tells me that the fuel pump is pumping how it should. The check valve going back to the fuel pump is still good, and the injectors in general are not leaking. So we're not losing fuel pressure, which I didn't think I was, but I just wasn't sure. So now we know everything in the fuel system is good. However, I did, because I've always wanted one, purchase this doohickey, which is a fuel injector pulser. And what it will do is pulse the fuel injectors for a set number of times in a set bandwidth or pulse width, and allow you to check the pressure drop of each injector individually. So it will tell you how well each injector is flowing compared to the other ones, and they should all be pretty darn similar. I see 2, 3, 4. Okay, I kind of see them. A couple of them are under the intake tube, but you know, these are the fuel injectors. So I'm going to see if the connector that came with this thing might work. I'm kind of hoping it does. If not, it came with a couple of little jumper cables that we can use to trigger the injectors. And we're going to do pulse tests and pressure drop tests on all 6 of these injectors, and we're going to see how they are. I'm thinking they're probably going to be good, but we're going to confirm it. If we got any that are not spraying enough or spraying too much, then we'll replace those and get her back to where she should be. But again, it runs pretty good, so I'm not expecting to find anything, but we're going to see what we come up with. Alright, that's off. The red thing is kind of sticky, but it just pulls straight up. There's no latch on it. You just got to I got in there with a screwdriver and just pried up on it, and it came off. And then you squeeze this black part in the middle there, and you can pull it off. So now we're going to see if this is even close. Kind of looks like it might be. Nope, it's not. Okay, so we're going to need to use the jumpers. So let me get those hooked up, and we'll go from there. Alright, so it seems like it's working, even though the jumpers aren't quite right, but they just slip over the pins. So now we're going to fire this injector. Okay. Down to 42. Do that one more time. Pump the fuel system back up. See where we end up. Right around 42. All right. So we're going to check the rest of them and see if they're all similar. Oh, I'm an idiot. I wanted to start it so I'd clear the gas out of that cylinder, and I just wrapped that entire new thing right into the fan. I am a moron. So, we will not be testing the injectors today. Oh, that was dumb. That was dumb. Anyway, well, I guess I didn't get the fuel line wrapped up in it, so that's good. So we're going to get that out of the way and move on about the next step in this business. But I think I'm going to get another one of those, because it did work and it was pretty cool, and it's exactly what I want. But I expect these injectors are good, because Again, it runs pretty good, and they don't leak down. So, but yeah, that was stupid. Don't do that, kids. All right, well, yeah, they're not quite robust enough for that kind of treatment. So, but it's fine. Everything runs, no issues, no noises. So, at least that wasn't anywhere near as bad as it could have been. Drat. Anyway, okay, so that's the end of the diagnostics for today. I guess what we're going to do now is we're going to check the alignment, because I believe this thing is lacking some caster. These trucks, I looked up the spec, are supposed to have, 7 degrees of positive caster stock. And this thing was lifted. It's only a little lift, it's only 2 inches, but it was lifted with the stock control arms, which will twist the axle forward as it drops it down and then reduce that caster. And I think now that I've stiffened up the engine and everything, that could be why she's going all a little bit wobbly on me. Now, it's not a bad death wobble. The only time it's gotten to the point where it'll stabilize and actually stay wobbling is right at about 45 miles an hour over a little bump. And then it'll start going into its resonance. So, I'm going to get my alignment tool, get it set up, and see if I can check the caster on this thing and see what we've got, and then determine how far it needs to move. First thing I'm going to do, we're going to get this fuel pressure tester off of the unit and put it back together. So, we'll be back. Alright, so that semi-disaster is back to where it's supposed to be and everything's running. So now we're going to go get the little alignment thing and see what we got. Alright, so this is a quick trick alignment thing. Not a sponsor, but I've had it for quite a few years. And it's pretty good for, rudimentary stuff. You're still going to have to string it if you want to do 4 wheels, but to check the fronts, it works. First you put these on, then you level them with the included level, and then you get your tape measures, and you see what you got difference between the front and the back, which is what we're going to do now. Alright, so there are little slots in the front and the back of this bracket. We can look. In the back we're showing 78 and 13/16. No, 75 and 13/16. And in the front we're showing 75 and a half. And that's quite a bit. So the toe could probably come out a little bit on this thing, but because I think I'm going to be adjusting the camber, that's going to change it. Because the toe is only supposed to be 1 or 2 degrees. And that's not terrible, but I think that's a little bit too much toe in. So now I'm going to figure out how to do camber, because that's a little screwier. I mean, caster. Camber's fixed on this thing. There's nothing to adjust. It's built into the axle. Alright, so it does seem that we are at about 7 degrees of caster on this, which is pretty good. So that means I'm going to have to go through and double check everything in the front end. I don't think anything's loose, but we're going to see. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do, we'll check the steering damper, because that's probably the first thing that can affect it. And then all the other ball joints, tie rods, they're all greased. It was all taken care of really nicely. So we're going to have to see what we've got. It does appear to be pretty darn close. So yeah, we'll see what we find out. Alright, I just did the numbers on the toe, and the toe is about a half a degree towed in. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'll say the alignment is pretty darn spot on. which means I got to go through and potentially check bushings and check other things that could be a little loose. You know, it doesn't wander, it doesn't dart all over the place, so it's not bad. It has a tendency at this point with the new engine mounts to wobble a bit as we got rid of that damper. So I'm going to go through it and we will see if we find anything. Who knows? Alright, so we popped the sway bar, the steering damper off, and it still seems to be tight. No issues there. And we greased everything under there just for grins since we were there. It's even got greasable sway bar end links, which is really cool. Everything else seems tight. I mean, honestly, the only thing that's kind of floppy are the rubber bushings in the existing control arms, and then the panhard rod in the front, whatever the hell you would call that, in the front. They're a little, I mean, I can move them with a pry bar, but they're not loose. I mean, there's no clearance. They're just not tight, you know, like a heim joint would be. But, I don't know. Well, we're going to probably leave it as it is, drive it for a little more, and just keep doing some thinking and see what we can do. And when my new, again, injector tester comes in, I'm going to finish testing those and see if there are any ones that are out of balance. I kind of doubt it, but again, going to be checking them. So that's it for today. Starting to run out of things to fix on this thing because there really wasn't a whole heck of a lot. So hope you're all having a good day. Take care.